Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful and, yeah, maybe a little controversial strategy that some entrepreneurs are using. It's a way to build personal wealth using the cash that's already flowing through their company. Let's get right into it. So, if you're a business owner, you know the deal, right? Your business is your retirement plan. You pour everything you have into it, hoping for that big payday when you eventually sell. But what if you could build a totally separate personal fortune with the cash that's already moving through your business every day? And what if you could do it without tying up all that precious capital? And that really is the heart of the problem, isn't it? I mean, if you have a normal 9 to 5, you've got a 401k, it's simple. But when you're the boss, where are you supposed to put your profits for the future? Just think about it for a second. Every single dollar you sock away in a traditional retirement account is a dollar you can't use for payroll next month, or for buying new inventory, or for jumping on that once-in-a-lifetime business opportunity that just landed in your lap. The real challenge is finding a way to save for your future that still gives you access to your money right now. So, how do you solve this puzzle? Well, the case study we're looking at today reveals a pretty unique solution. It's a financial tool that's actually owned by the business. It's an asset, sure, but probably not like any you've ever seen before. The asset is something called an Indexed Universal Life Insurance Policy, or an IUL for short. Now, for a minute, just forget the life insurance part of the name. The real magic here is a feature called cash value. You can think of it like a savings account that's built right inside the policy. This account grows, and its growth is tied to a stock market index, like the S&P 500. But here's the kicker. It usually has a floor, which means you typically don't lose money even if the market takes a nosedive. So, how do you put money into these things? Well, there's a minimum payment, just to keep the policy active. And this is important, there's also a maximum amount you're allowed to put in, which is set by the IRS. And here, my friends, is the secret sauce to this whole strategy. You basically ignore the minimum and you pour in the absolute maximum you can. This is called max funding, and it's like strapping a rocket engine to that internal savings account. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's see how our entrepreneur, a guy named Brandon, actually puts this into practice. Here's a quick look at his first 2 years. All right, in year one, Brandon's business pays a $24,000 premium. By the end of that year, he's got nearly 19 grand in cash that he can access if he needs to. But then, whoa, look at year two. He goes big, putting in $176,000. And then almost right away, he takes out a $150,000 loan against that cash value and plows it right back into his business. Now, you have to be asking, why in the world would he do that? And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why go through all this hassle? Why not just use 150 grand from the business checking account to pay for things? Brandon's answer really gets to the core of this whole thing. He says that borrowing the insurance company's money is actually cheaper than using his own money. How on earth is that even possible? The answer is a really powerful financial concept called positive arbitrage. See, when you take out a loan, you're not actually withdrawing your money from the policy. Your cash value just stays put, earning uninterrupted interest, compounding away. The insurance company is just lending you their money, and they're using your cash value as collateral. Okay, so here's where it gets really, really cool. Let's say your money inside the policy is earning, on average, 6%, but the loan from the insurance company only costs you 4.5% in interest. Well, you're making a 1.5% profit, a positive spread, on money that you've already taken out and put to work in your business. You are literally earning money on money you've already spent. Now, of course, this isn't some kind of magic trick. There are costs involved, and it's really important to understand what those are. The easiest way to think about it is like a little balance sheet inside the policy. On one side, you've got the charges, things like premium fees, administrative costs, and the actual cost of the insurance coverage itself. But on the other side, you've got the credits. That's the interest your cash value is earning from being linked to the index, and sometimes you even get bonus interest from the insurance company. You have to remember, this is a long-term play. The whole goal is to get to a tipping point where the interest credits, the money your cash value is earning, are greater than all those internal fees. When that happens, the policy basically becomes a self-sustaining asset that just grows and grows on its own. So we've seen how one of these policies can work, but what happens when you take this concept and you really scale it up? What if you could turn this little strategy into a massive financial engine for your entire family? Brandon uses a great analogy for this. He compares it to what real estate investors call the BRRRR method, That's where you use the equity from one property to buy a second one, then use the equity from those two to buy a third, and on and on. The core idea is exactly the same. You're using the same dollar in multiple places at the exact same time. All right, pay close attention because this is the aha moment where it all clicks. First, revenue from the business gets funneled into that main policy. Simple enough. Then, he takes a loan from policy number 1 to fund a second policy, maybe one for his family. Then he just repeats the process, creating this amazing leveraged effect. A loan from policy 2 funds policy 3. And then, from the very last policy in the chain, he takes one final loan, and that money goes right back into the business to pay for everyday expenses. Do you see the loop? The very same dollar is funding multiple assets and running his business. And all the while, he's earning that positive interest spread on all of it. It's wild. So what's the end game here? What's the big vision? Well, Brandon's goal is to eventually run his entire annual revenue, $1 million, through this system. Just think about that for a second. He'll be earning an interest spread on every single dollar that flows into his company before he even spends it on anything. So when you put it all together, what does this financial engine actually do? Well, for starters, it turns your regular business revenue into a tax-advantaged asset. It gives you instant access to liquid capital whenever you need it for the business. It builds up a personal retirement fund that's completely separate from the value of your company. And, oh yeah, it still creates a financial legacy for your family through the death benefit. A strategy like this totally reframes how you think about money in your business. And it leaves us with one last, really powerful question. What if your business expenses weren't just expenses? What if they were the very building blocks of your family's entire fortune?